Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I've been on this long project to wrap my 1991 Camaro RS, and I'm at the tail end of it, or I should say the front end of it, because I just finished up the bumper. I added my headlights, I added my fog lights, I added my turn signals, and my grille. So let's go. These did not come with the car. These are Iroc fog lights. I got them from Screamin' Chicken and they were not cheap. I think they were like $300. And you just, they're called Morimoto. And you can splice into anything really. Well, not anything, but you can splice into like different, power sources. I spliced into my headlights so that they would just be on once I turn my headlights. And it's just a little bit easier since the wire harness wasn't had already been kind of like spliced into, and yeah. Anyways, I love these things, and other than like the wiring aspect, even though the car is an RS, so it didn't like come with the provisions, it still had holes for these just to mount up into. So anyways, they look fantastic. And then the old grill was just one of these like straight ugly grills on it. It was hideous. I didn't save it. I should have saved it. So I bought this off of Haktua right here, this. And again, this was like $200 for a piece of plastic, but it really, oh my gosh, bellissimo. It's beautiful. I love it. So I get to put this back on now that this whole area is pretty much wrapped to satisfaction, eh? So Screamin' Chicken sells these switchback front turn signal lights. I cheaped out. I didn't buy them. I bought these. They were just replacement OEMs for the front. I bought them, and then when I went to install them, I forgot that I bought them. I couldn't find them, so I bought them again. So I've got another set backup when I should have just bought those other ones, the expensive ones. Anyways, it's time to install these back on. Again, these are from Screamin' Chicken. They're just OEM replacements. The front end's looking like the front end again. But, I gotta wait for this thing to dry before I can finish wrapping that. I'm so stubborn. Instead of just being a normal human being and jacking up the car and laying under it and having, visibility on where the bolts go, I don't want to do that, so I end up like contorting my body and my arms and reaching in and blindly trying to find these holes for these lights. If I was not stubborn, the job would take me like probably 7 minutes. There's two 10mm bolts, one on each side, and make sure you screw that lamp in before you tidy everything up. I did one side correct when I did the other side. I forgot to put the actual LED lamp in the housing, and it wasn't until that night I was laying in bed I was like, I don't remember doing that. And sure enough, I woke up the next day and one light, haha. So I've got one shot at this. If I remove this wrap and reposition it, it's going to rip up more primer. I'm gonna have to start all over again. And already I can see that it's not gonna be perfect because there's still like a slight indentation where that primer came off and where I filled it and sanded it. It's, you know, again, it's not perfect, but it's a vast improvement and I'm happy with that. I would drive myself absolutely mad if I was striving for perfection. So I'm keeping my expectations realistic and trying to keep in mind that, you know, this is about an enjoyable hobby, not, you know, agonizing over it. I got enough things to agonize. Agonizing over my 91 Camaro, that's not something that I want to do. So probably one of the easiest panels to wrap. I use knifeless tape just to make sure that all my seams are going to come up really nicely. Tuck everything in and, you know, post heat it, get it ready to, you know, peel off and seal off and take that saran wrap coating off. Watch this, there it is. Oh gosh, so that's what I mean. It just peeled right off. No one's gonna see it there, but that's kind of what happened to me on the top of the bumper. It was devastating at the time, but I have recovered emotionally, mentally, and physically from the incident. The holes that came on this bumper were slightly crooked. The car gods as my witness, I did not drill these holes, okay? The bumper came like this. So the holes that line up with the emblem are just ever so crooked. And I've tried to correct this, but the only way to really do that is to, you know, either seal up the holes and drill new ones, or kind of like make the holes a little bit bigger. And, you know, I've done the best I can. You can barely see that it's crooked, but I had one person call it out on a random video and they were so mean about it. It made me so sad that that's all that they could see was that the emblem was slightly, ever so slightly crooked. This, it's like a radiator plastic piece. I put everything here that I'm putting on my car in the comments. So my headlights, this plastic cowl, my fog lights, my turn signals, basically everything. Many people commented that I should put the black in that headlight area and it would have looked badass. And I thought about it, I really did. And I know I've got like, it's an RS. The RS didn't come with the black in the headlights, but the RS also didn't come with the Iroc grille. So it's hypocritical for me to say that I didn't want to do the black in the headlights because it's not a real Iroc. The real reason I didn't want to do the black in the headlights, I'll tell you why. Keep in mind, this was my family car growing up. This is my dad's car. This is my dad's baby. He loved this car more than probably any of us. And he constantly would make fun of the Camaros with the black headlights, the back black headlight areas. I don't know why, but I grew up with him mocking these cars. He'd, oh, look, they look horrible, blah, 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 ruins the body lines, blah, blah, blah. And that's what was like playing in my head as I thought about doing that. I think he'd be rolling over in his grave if I put the black in the headlights. I couldn't get over it. It was like childhood trauma. So I did red, and I think it looks badass. And you know what? It's wrap. I can always change it. That's what's fun about wrap. And you can see right there, as I peeled away to reposition, I got more paint that came off. It's a real shame, let me tell you. My knifeless tape, it snagged on one corner, so I had to carefully cut it with my razor blade, but overall it was a really clean cut and I'm happy with it. Just make sure when you're attempting to do something like that, you've got a steady hand, you haven't been drinking, You haven't had too much caffeine and you've got a sharp blade. The front bumper is done, so that means I can actually start installing my headlights back in. So the original headlights that came with this car, obviously, they were just, I think, halogen bulbs, and then I replaced them to LEDs a couple years ago. I got the conversion kit on Screamin' Chicken, and I don't remember, but it was pretty, you know, seemingly expensive at the time. So I got the high beam and the low beam LED conversion for each side, and then you had to buy the flasher because the lights won't work right unless you replace the flasher, and the flasher is located under the steering column. I'll link a description, and I'll link the link to the headlights. Now I didn't go crazy and get some like halo, you know, LED weird freaky deaky stuff. I tried to go as original as possible but still have like that modern day bright light. So I think they look pretty bitchin', and it's a nice upgrade for sure, and they still kind of look original. And then for the frames, those bezels that go over them, the original ones were they'd seen better days, and I would have sanded them and painted them, but they were rusted actually, and just that's a lot of work when I can get new ones. I think it was like $80 for all four. Putting them in is a challenge because there's 4 screw holes altogether. 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. The top are no problem to get at. The 2 on the bottom sit right under that front, you know, like piece of plastic, you know, the bumper. And I searched high and low for different ways that you can replace the headlights, and the majority of what I found was either take the entire bumper off or just kind of figure out how to work your way into getting those screws. Yeah, it's just hard. So what I did was the bottom holes on the bezels, so there's 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. The bottom ones, I cut them open, so instead of them being holes, they were like this. So you have 2 of them. That's a terrible example, but I put the bezel in diagonal, and then I slid the light in, and then I gently pushed it all together. So as I pushed it all together, the prongs go down where the screws are, and then all you gotta do is reach in and kind of tighten the screws, and then of course you've got the top ones. So the bottoms just kind of hold it in place once everything's tight. You would understand you would understand the words that are coming out of my mouth if you attempted to do this job before. One word of advice: there's a center screw on each bezel. That's the adjustment. That's like the angle adjustment. Don't mess that up. Don't touch that. If your lights are pointing in a good direction and you screw that up, it's a real bitch to fix, because you need someone to kind of help you adjust them while you're in the car. Let's take a look at the masterpiece. Thank you so much for watching. I've linked everything that I purchased and put on the front of the car in the description. The only thing that I have left to do on this car is the hood, the little side skirt areas, and of course the rear spoiler, which ends up being hellacious, to say the very least. It's probably the ultimate fail that I've experienced with wrapping the whole car. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.